13 now. Well, he's not King George yet, but just give him a few years. Of course, we're talking about the royal baby born this week, and right now, probably the most famous baby on the planet, other than that one that was born on I-91 the other day. All right, but why has the world gone gaga for George, and what does it mean for Britain? Lisa Ford has answers to those questions. Royal watcher and the head of research at the Yale Center for British Art. You know all about this stuff. Lisa, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. So first of all, what's in a name? George.
George.
It was George Alexander Louis.
Yes.
A good choice?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the things that's interesting, of course, is watching all of the analysis now of the royal name. And very interesting that people in the palace have apparently said, don't get too hung up on it. His parents just like the names. But if you look at the name and break it down, George. George is there have been 6 previous King Georges. Mm-hmm. The idea or the belief is that probably this is a compliment to the Queen. George VI was her father and dearly beloved by her and dearly beloved by the nation. So a good solid royal tradition there. With Alexander, the names of past kings of Scotland. It could be a nod to the Scottish crown. Also, it could be a nod, however, to Her Majesty herself, whose names are Elizabeth Alexandra Mary. So there again, you may be complimenting the Queen. Louis, everyone seems to be in agreement. It's probably a nod to Lord Mountbatten, who was very much a beloved uncle of Prince Charles. I'm sorry, uncle of Prince Philip and great uncle of Prince Charles, very much a beloved member of the royal family, assassinated by an IRA bomb in 1979. And actually one of William's names is Louis. So there you get a little bit passing down from the father to the son as well.
Louis Mountbatten of Windsor, is that right? Do I have that correct?
Louis Mountbatten.
Okay, or just Mountbatten.
Yeah, or Mountbatten Windsor is a name that members of the royal family use. And so you've got a name that combines a great deal of tradition with a bit of family sentimentality, which is very nice.
Huh, all right, so now what does the baby mean for Britain now when we think about this? Because looking forward, all of a sudden Prince Charles is a grandfather.
He is, indeed. And very nice for him. I mean, he's obviously, so far they've commented on how much he seems to be enjoying the idea of being a grandfather, his very first grandchild. The baby now sets the succession to the crown for the next 3 generations, and he'll be the 43rd monarch of England since the time of the Norman Conquest. So I guess you could call him 43 if you wanted to go along the presidential style in that kind of way. And what else?
I was just going to say, a couple hundred years ago, we were all fighting to get away from all this monarchy kind of stuff.
Yes.
And now we can't take our eyes off of it. Why are Yanks here so interested?
Well, I think that people are very interested in the royals because, for one thing, it's something we don't have. And we all find this kind of monarchy, royals being the heads of state.
But we have the Kennedys. Just kidding.
Well, there's a lot of people that have made that comparison,
yes, exactly,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I think that people are fascinated by this. You know, there's an American fascination with the idea of princesses and princes, and here you have people that are actually living out that title and living out that life. So I think we all find that fascinating, as well as the current cult of celebrity. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are very popular, very wonderful, warm, appealing people who everybody seems to think they would love to get to know. And they have that appeal as well to the public. And who doesn't like babies? Right.
And Disney made a fortune on princes and princesses.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this picture here. I think we have a picture of what's going on here.
What's going on here is, after the royal name was announced, our senior curator of paintings and sculpture at the Yale Center for British Art, Angus Trumbull, called to our attention the fact that within our collection we have this painting, which is a painting that belonged to the first and only other Prince George of Cambridge. There was a Prince George of Cambridge who was a cousin of Queen Victoria's. He commissioned this picture and he owned it until his death. And it's a picture of his horses and dogs. It's called Favourites, property of HRH, Prince George of Cambridge, and it shows his dog, one of his, okay, let me get this right. It shows his horse, whose name's Selim, and 2 of his dogs, the Newfoundland and the King Charles Spaniel, all apparently waiting for the prince to come out and go off for a day of hawking on the grounds of Windsor Castle. You can see Windsor Castle in the backdrop.
Quite a bit of tradition all there, and let's hope that George has a long and happy and healthy life. You know, Lisa Ford, there's so much. I just realized, because you teach over at Yale.
I do seminars at Yale, yes.
Yeah, and I just realized that learning this stuff is probably more complicated than calculus or anything like that. All these names.
Yes.
My goodness. Lisa Ford, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All righty.